Greetings! Today's story is about Emil Regis Rovak Terzieff-Godefroy, better known as simply Regis. He's a very powerful, higher vampire. Nothing beats a bottle of wine to satisfy the lust. Only the best. Hits the spot. Oh, right. This is a video about Regis. Okay. So, of course, before we start, you know the drill. Spoilers, all that good stuff. Let's start. In his younger years, Regis had developed some bad habits to fit in with the rest of his kind. You can say he acted like a punk. Now, while drinking blood wasn't necessary for higher vampires, it was seen similar to drinking alcohol with friends, or social drinking. The rule being, if one didn't drink, they were considered lame. That's a lot of peer pressure for young Regis. He began to partake in it, and soon found he was no longer shy around vampire women while blood drunk. However, his habit got worse and worse, to the point he'd spend several nights away before returning to the crypt. Just a drop of blood will make him lose control. He eventually began to go out drinking alone, not caring if friends joined him or not. He later settled down with a vampire female, Queen of the Night. Sadly, she left him, and in his grief, dove further and further into his drinking habit. Everything would change for him after one miserable night. It was during the celebration of 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰, like a big party in October, food, drink, bonfires, villagers. Regis led a horde of vampires to a nearby village to fetch blood. Unfortunately, Regis attacked the wrong village. Vesemir, a witcher from the School of the Wolf, along with Germain and the peasants, managed to drive the vampires out of the village. The witcher, however, knew that their victory was only temporary and that the vampires would strike again once they healed from their wounds. Although Vesemir remained injured in the clash, the peasants managed to capture Regis. How, you might wonder? Well, while Regis was flying drunk, he missed his target and instead smashed into the village's well, knocking himself out cold. The villagers found him and nearly killed him. They stabbed him with stakes, chopped his head off, and poured holy water on him before burying him. Fortunately, none of this could actually kill him, but was he in no condition to move anytime soon. He spent the next 50 years regenerating underground. This gave him lots of time to think about his behavior and vow to never drink again. Let's skip ahead when Regis meets Geralt. In August 1267, during the Second Northern War, he was staying at a small summer cottage near 𝓑𝓮𝓬𝓪𝓯, an old elven cemetery. It was off the main roads and free from being disturbed by the war. However, this also meant Geralt and 𝓑𝓮𝓬𝓪𝓯's company, who were also trying to avoid the roads, came across the cemetery after dark. Regis quickly hid, but the group, being extra paranoid with the thought of ghouls being in the area, noticed movement. Following the fragrant smell of various herbs and spices, they found Regis hiding in a hollow. After introducing himself to the group, and after being interrogated, he invited them back to his cottage. Regis introduced his famous Mandrake Moonshine to everyone in the company. They quickly began to partake, but Regis declined, claiming he had made a promise to himself not to drink again. While they enjoyed his home brew, Regis continued to show his intelligence on various topics, like healing and herbs. He soon learned from the intoxicated party members that they were heading to Nilfgaard in hope of finding 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰. The next day, he decided to join the group, claiming the war was much dire than he thought. No sooner had they set out, though, did they run into trouble with a group of peasants believing a vampire was in the area. They demanded 𝓑𝓮𝓬𝓪𝓯 to give up her black horse, believing black horses could find vampires. Of course, 𝓑𝓮𝓬𝓪𝓯 refused and punched one of the men, knocking him out, but then she vomited. On hearing this wasn't her first time vomiting, Regis realized she was pregnant, but kept silent. A short time later, they reached the refugee camp at the 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰𝓻𝓪𝓿. They noticed a preach condemning a mentally challenged woman for not being a witch and dealing business with the vampire in the area. Realizing she was just a scapegoat, the company stated they'd do a trial to prove the woman her innocence. The priest chose an impossible task. Remove a red-hot horseshoe from the fire, bring it to the priest. If they bore no burn marks, they were innocent. Before they could decide, Regis strode forward, removed one, and held it out, revealing no burn marks. Of course, this freaked out the preacher, and he claimed it was black magic. Anyone would. But before things escalated, an alarm was heard that Nilfgaardian troops were approaching, and everyone scattered. Being a vampire, Regis was able to hide easily. He saw that Geralt and Dandelion had been captured and were taken to 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰𝓻𝓪𝓿 to be executed by a vengeful commander. He quickly sought out 𝓑𝓮𝓬𝓪𝓰𝓻𝓪𝓶, finding 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰 alongside her. After explaining the situation, he sent the two to wait at a designated spot for them to return. Using his abilities, he put the guards to sleep and released the Witcher and Bard. Geralt, now realizing what Regis was, thanked him, but said it was best if they didn't see each other again. However, Dandelion was wounded in their escape. When Regis appeared to help bandage him, Geralt put a sword to his throat. Geralt revealed to the company that Regis is a vampire. Once Regis was finished tending to Dandelion, Geralt demanded he leave. Before leaving, Regis questioned Geralt if he ever planned on killing him in the future. Geralt responded, stating he doubted anyone could afford it. Thanking the Witcher, Regis left. It wasn't long before Regis reappeared when the group made camp to rest, stating it was time to change Dandelion's bandages. Once there, he had a deep conversation with a sulking Geralt. He wanted to continue the journey alone. Afterwards, Regis helped the others prepare dinner, and the topic of 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰 not being in Nilfgaard was brought up. Regis suggested visiting 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰𝓻, a druid's circle, as he knew someone there with the knowledge about the children of destiny. With no better option, the group agreed and headed out in the morning. While traveling, the others had lots of questions about vampires. He reassured everyone that he gave up drinking blood long ago. He went on to dispel several myths, like believing vampires needed blood to survive, or that people can be turned into a vampire from being bitten. After a few days, 𝓑𝓮𝓬𝓪𝓰𝓻𝓪𝓿 talked to him in private, asking for a potion to abort a pregnancy. At this point, the story is the same as the one I've read in 𝓑𝓮𝓬's video, if you watch that one. We'll skip ahead past the Battle of the 𝓘𝓵. If you recall in the Milva's video, she was injured and miscarried. This is very important. After 10 days of mourning her loss, she cut her hair. So, the group made their way to the slopes, hoping to find the druids there. However, they were informed that they moved even further south, to 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰. To top it off, while in Reed Brune, Geralt found out about startling information given to him by 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰, particularly that the Nightingale gang knew about the Milva cutting her hair not even 10 days ago. But they incorrectly saw 4 members in the group, where there were actually 5. Despite Regis asking the Witcher not to jump to conclusions, Geralt accused 𝓘𝓰 of being a traitor. This led to the two punching each other before Milva broke up the fight with her belt. Yeah. A couple of days later, Geralt apologized. There was a possibility of how the gang knew, with Regis confirming his theory. A mage who tries to view others can't see certain things, like vampires. Their count was off because the mage didn't see Regis. With that in mind, Regis, Milva, and Dandelion made their way to 𝓘𝓮's border, while Geralt, 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰, and 𝓘𝓰 made their way to Belhaven to find the Nightingale leader. Things went sideways for Geralt's group, and 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰 found Regis to inform him of the Nilfgaardian soldiers following those behind Geralt and an injured 𝓘𝓰. Regis quickly helped them retreat to 𝓘𝓮, since Nilfgaardians wouldn't cross due to the Duchy's autonomy. Once the vampire found them, he informed Geralt that he talked to his druid friend, 𝓑𝓾𝓂, who gave Geralt instructions about finding the answers he sought. Now, the whole company is in 𝓘𝓮 for the winter. Dandelion is being showered with gifts by the Duchess. Geralt is enjoying lots and lots of time with Fringilla Vigo. Milva is out hunting with Baron Amadis. And Regis? Well, that rascal found out there was a succubus in the city. He soon started up a romantic relationship with her, even though he knew she was involved with many other men in the area. During their time, they attended festivals and balls. At one such function, Geralt pretended Regis was a count, and so the vampires was seated between 2 countesses. He kept the whole table entertained with his vast array of knowledge. However, to Geralt's amusement, Regis also falsely stated that silver and garlic could hurt vampires to the table. While their stay in 𝓘𝓮 was far longer than intended, Regis acted as a voice of reason, keeping the rest of the group from arguing amongst themselves. When early January arrived, the company was having breakfast together when Geralt had to leave to go fulfill a contract. What a witcher does. Besides sorcerers. 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰 began talking to Fringilla about how to convince Geralt to let her continue traveling with them once they set out. Regis corrected the young girl, stated the obvious. Fringilla had no intention of letting Geralt leave 𝓘𝓮. He is so smart. He's like 800 years old or something, like 400. He's pretty old. The sorceress and the vampire argued. Fringilla claimed she helped Geralt more than the group ever could, and that he'd never leave her. Regis responded that she was wrong, and that Geralt was only in a dream state, but would soon wake up and continue his quest to find Ciri. Who knew Regis was a fortune teller? The next morning, Geralt hastily returned from his contract and told everyone to head out within the hour. He overheard where to find Vilgefortz and likely Ciri, 𝓑𝓭 Castle. Once they arrived, Regis used his abilities to sneak inside and open the gates. As they fought their way through the castle, Regis flew off and soon found Ciri. She was under attack, Regis quickly took care of the men before making his appearance, biting and drinking from one of the attackers. This didn't scare Ciri, as she asked Regis to go warn Geralt about 𝓑𝓾𝓂, while she went to rescue Yennefer. Regis quickly returned back to the Witcher's side, but was sent away to help Ciri find Yennefer. As Geralt and Yennefer fought against 𝓑𝓾𝓂, Regis appeared in the nick of time, right before 𝓑𝓾𝓂 was doing the killing blow to Yennefer. He flew in and attacked the distracted mage. However, the mage had a weapon for every opponent, and literally ripped the vampire apart before Geralt could stop him. He proceeded to melt Regis into nothing more than a lump of flesh and blood. So here's a short clipping from the book when Geralt and Zoltan meet Regis. The man scrambled out of the hole, brushed his black coat, tied at the waist with something resembling an apron, straightened his canvas bag, and caused another wave of herbal scents. "Gentlemen, I propose that you put away your weapons," he said in a calm voice, his eyes searching the surroundings. "You will not need them. As you can see, I do not wear a sword. I never do. I also do not carry anything of worth in my pouch. My name is Emil Regis. I come from 𝓘𝓷𝓼𝓽𝓪𝓰. I am a surgeon." "Of course," Zoltan Chive grimaced slightly. "Herbalist, barber, or surgeon, no offense, but you smell like an apothecary." Emil Regis smiled, a thin-lipped smile, and raised his hands apologetically. Okay, I lied. I found another clip that pretty much ties with that one, and it's pretty funny. I'm going to read it. "Geralt," murmured Zoltan, as Emil Regis disappeared behind a hanging curtain. "Let's keep our eyes open. I do not like this smelly herbalist." "Any particular reason?" That's me being Geralt. It's not a good Geralt, but... "I'm suspicious of people who spend their summers near a cemetery." That's kind of weird. And then later, after they tried the Mandrake Moonshine, "This is Mandrake? True Mandrake?" Dandelion asked. That's Dandelion. "The female variety," said the alchemist. "I find it is abundance in the cemetery, where we met, which is precisely why I spend my summers here." Looking at Zoltan, probably. The Witcher looked meaningful at Zoltan. The dwarf winked. Regis cracked a half smile. That's like why I love Regis. He's so cool. That concludes the tale of the vampire who befriended and saved a Witcher. He was a barber surgeon, herbalist, and made excellent Mandrake Moonshine. You will be missed, dear friend. Tune in next week for the last chapter of Geralt's Company. With that said, good luck on the path. Alright, pausing. Geralt revealed to the company that Regis is a vampire. Oh, so sweet. Thanking the Witcher, Regis left. We gave Geralt instructions about finding the answers he seeked. Oh. Just a little wine break. 'Cause I work so hard. Just put that way up there. Okay. Ooh. Ahem. Mirror, mirror on the wall. I despise these things.